All right, here we go. What's up, cool cats and kittens? I don't know what to say. That was a debacle on the field and off the field for me. All right, so let's just get into the gambling stuff right now. Awful night. 2-6 on the night, minus 8.1 units. Brings me to 33 and 42 overall, but still plus 37.63 units. So still very high on the plus side. Still got a lot of time to really screw that up, but it has been going down a very bad path the last few days, the last few outings on the gambling. But right out of the gates, I screwed myself tonight. I broke so many of my rules. Number one, I bet on the Titans. That's like rule number one on my list of no gambling rules is don't bet games. Actually, I kind of double broke my rules tonight because I don't bet on my teams. I don't bet games involving my favorite teams. And I don't bet games featuring my favorite teams' rivals, their biggest rivals. It was Titans versus Colts. I bet all over the place on that game tonight, and it had both. It had the Titans, one of my favorite teams, and the Colts, one of their biggest rivals, one of the teams I hate the most. So I should have known whatever I bet was going to get screwed up. Should have just stayed away, but it was the only game on. It's too tempting to not bet it. I got bailed out. One thing that saved it from being a complete disaster and being really bad tonight was FanDuel had a, like a plus 100 $50 max bet on Derrick Henry to have at least 6 yards in the first quarter. Insane the way that one played out. He, with 30 seconds left in the first quarter, had 2 carries for -1 yards. Last carry of the first quarter, he busted an 8-yard run to cash that one. That one saved me because I max bet it because I was like, there's no way Derrick Henry's not going to get 6 yards in the first quarter. Little did I know that was going to be like the major sweat of the game. So I mentioned this in the actual vlog stuff that I recorded, but I've got some new ideas to try to turn this gambling thing around because just me looking at stuff and picking stuff isn't working. I way overpicked tonight too. I shouldn't have picked the Titans, shouldn't have picked the Colts, shouldn't have done anything with that game at all, except that Henry prop because that was just too good to pass up. But I also had 8 plays today. That's way too much for like a day where there was like basically no games. I bet the USA men's national team game earlier today. That violates the rule of betting teams that I really like. But I've never bet on the U.S. men's national team before since the new era of gambling began in Tennessee, so I had to do it at least once. They drew 0-0 against Wales, of course. I had the Colorado State plus 14.5. They got smoked. I knew nothing about that game and just like followed some people that had that pick online. Shouldn't have done it. My mistake. We're going to learn from this. We're going to limit our picks going forward. We're going to follow the rules. We're not going to break the rules. I've started to write down the rules so that I can actually look at them and say, these are the rules. I'm going to follow these. I'm going to do a full breakdown on Saturday before the college slate. Go through what my rules are. Use those to make the picks for Saturday. Got some other ideas for how we're going to improve the picks. Number one, animals. I've seen it a million times with like gambling shows or people that make picks using animals. There are 100 animals in this house. I'm going to utilize them. Oli's back here right now. He's resting up. He's commiserating with me right now. I'll figure out a way to make him make picks. There's like 20 cats in this house. People love cats on the internet. I'll figure out a way to make the cats help me make picks. There's a bird. I don't know if birds make picks, but we'll figure out a way to make a bird make picks. Now, one other idea I have not involving animals for improving the picks are, I've been told on several occasions that Sissy, who lives in this house, my mother-in-law, is oddly good at gambling. I've never relied on her, despite having heard this, but I think I'm going to have to. And of course, whatever we do, I'm going to document it, whether it's live streams, whether it's vlogs that we record and release. I'm going to find a way to get myself out of this hole and get back to... We started off so good. I mean, we're still plus 37 units because of how good we started, and then things just went... Like I said, part of it's because I stopped following my own rules. Part of it's because I haven't utilized the tool at my disposal. Animals and Sissy. So, before we go any further on the live stream, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for all notifications. That way, when we start putting out the gambling shows with the animals, with Sissy, you'll get to see them. And you'll get the good picks, because my picks have been terrible. You should be fading them. If you haven't been fading them, you're an idiot. And I'm an idiot for making the picks in the first place, so what do? All right, so let's talk Titans. I don't want to dwell too much on this because, whatever. I've had enough dwelling on it. A lot of people are going to blame Gostkowski, the punter, for the mistakes in the special teams unit, but at a certain point in time Our special teams have been so terrible just across the board. It hasn't just been bad kickers. It hasn't just been bad punting. It hasn't just bad snapping. It hasn't been bad blocking. The whole unit is terrible. We can't block. We can't cover. We can't actually make the punts. We can't actually make the kicks. If that much is wrong with one, area of a team, it goes beyond the players. I mean, we don't have that many bad players that are just completely screwing up the special teams. You got to look at the coach. I believe his name is Scott Ackerman. Nope, that's the guy from Comedy Bang Bang. Craig Ackerman. Vrabel said in his post-game press conference he's not even considering making a change at special teams coach. I don't know. I honestly don't know how you don't at least consider it, how you could come out that strongly against it. You could say the go-to coach speak of we got to look at everything and figure out what changes need to be made, what we need to do. But he came out and outright said, he sees no issues with Ackerman's performance, and I don't know how that's possible. Is it Ackerman? I don't know. I don't know how that's possible when the special teams are as bad as they've been for now. We're going on 2 years. And the other crazy thing is, if you look at the kickers that were such a disaster for us last year, they're all having pretty good seasons at their new teams this year. Did they magically get better? Are they in situations where they've got a coach that can figure out how to best utilize them? I don't know. The bigger the issues grow throughout the special teams, like last year, it seemed to just be the kickers couldn't kick. Now it's kind of across the board. Bad snapping, no blocking, bad kicking. I'm looking up higher than the players. At a certain point in time, you can keep cutting kickers. We can cut Goskowski, sign somebody off the street. That worked really well with the punter we had today. By the way, who made the decision to bench the punter who had a really good week last week for this random dude from UT we signed off the street? Was it the special teams coach? Maybe. I'm sure he had some input in that, didn't he? I'm just saying, not saying. Speaking of coaching, Vrabel's denied it. He said it has nothing to do with the issues they're having on defense, but the fact they don't have a defensive coordinator, it's clear. That's a problem. And I think the biggest problem is there's not somebody who is capable of organizing the defense and figuring out how to protect the weaknesses and exploit the strengths of the players. Like people, a lot of people on the ride home, I was looking at Twitter, were kind of harping on Vaccaro and Byard. What has happened to them? Why have they fallen off? Jayon Brown's not playing as well as he was last year. I think what we got from Dean Pease wasn't so much that he was like a defensive mastermind, is that he knew how to organize the team in a way that maximized their strengths and kind of hid their weaknesses, And that's not what's happening anymore. We're playing a very simple, very base defense and just expecting the players to conform to that. There's no adjustments to what their strengths and weaknesses are. There's no changes. Like last Sunday against the Bears, I felt like for the first time we made some adjustments, like we did some things differently. We're playing tighter coverage. It led us getting some more pressure. The Bears receivers seemed to have no room to breathe. Nick Foles wasn't able to just dink and dunk and pick us apart across the middle. Tonight, we went back to kind of the old defense we've been playing all season, where we were 10 yards off their receivers all day, just soft zone coverage. And Phillip Rivers, he's not Nick Foles. He's an experienced veteran, the same way Ben Roethlisberger was a couple weeks ago, who can just, little 6 yard underneath, boom, I'll do that all day. I'll do that all day. We did a good job of getting them off the field third down, except that they went for it on fourth down every time because we kept letting them pick up those 6 and 7 yard plays, so where fourth downs were 4th and 1s. Those are easy. Those are easy all day long. Warren Sharp tweeted out the play, the quarterback sneak that kind of iced the game for them, and how our defense seemed to have no idea that it was going to be a quarterback sneak, even though Jacoby Brissett came into the game. It was the first time a quarterback had been under center that close to a short yardage play all night for the Colts. Our defense had no recognition of that. Would you like the players to kind of be able to situationally see things like that and recognize it? Obviously, yes. But whose job is it to make sure that the players are able to see those things, are able to figure those things out? Who, is over on the sideline that can call out that adjustment? It should be a defensive coordinator, right? But we don't have a defensive coordinator. We just have our head coach and a collection of random coaches kind of trying to do stuff, and it's not working. I don't know if you just tell Shane Bowen, who's calling the defensive plays, just you're the defensive coordinator now, we're putting it all on you, you've got to get this organized and fixed. So I think because you don't have one person running it, it's a lack of organization. It's a lack of, there's no plan, it seems like, on defense. It's just like everybody's just dropping back and hoping for the best on defense. I don't know. I don't know. I thought what we did against the Bears, I thought worked pretty good. and then we went back to square one tonight. I mean, we weren't really good at anything tonight. The offense seemed like they were good, but that was kind of deceiving. And I'm kind of hesitant to get too hard on the offense because they've done so much. I mean, they basically saved us for most of the season. Like, we're 6-3 right now because of what the offense has done this season. But they need to be able to not be afraid to have a 3-and-out. Like, that's the problem. The Colts, especially, like, at one point in time, they had double the amount of plays we had. We go 3-and-out, and the Colts were having 20-play series. We should be able to go 3-and-out and expect our defense to be able to get us the ball back quickly every once in a while. I mean, it shouldn't be a thing where we're always going 3-and-out and then hoping for the defense to do something. But right now, it feels like if we go 3-and-out, we're screwed because we know our defense isn't getting us back the ball anytime soon, and that's not fair to the offense. I think that hurts the offense's ability to get into a rhythm. A lot of people are starting to I saw a lot of people having negative reactions to Tannehill tonight. I don't think he had his best game, but he took some big hits. He had some receivers dropping passes. He had some receivers kind of missing their routes a little bit. He missed a big one to Jonnu. There's no doubt about that early on. But I think, it's hard to get in your rhythm when you go 3-and-out and then you don't get the ball back for 30 minutes. Our defense has to get the ball back to our offense to give us a chance to recover from those 3-and-outs, and I don't think they're doing that enough. I thought they did it pretty well against the Bears game, and then this just seemed like it was the old Titans. Like, I think we forgot Breon Borders was Breon Borders. My dad, who, knows, he's a casual football fan, and he even was like, seems like every time Phillip Rivers throws the ball, it's going towards number 39. So the Colts seem to figure it out, especially the second half. I mean, that whole debacle of a special teams fall apart where we have the shanked punt that goes 12 yards. Next series, we get the block punt return for a touchdown. Just, that's a killer, but we really weren't doing things well enough overall to have won the game. That just happened to be what really swung it and finally gave the Colts the full control of the game. Because, I mean, from the time they, we had a goal line stopper. They could have taken the lead a lot earlier, so... the good news is we've got 10 days off. We got time to regroup, time to look at what went wrong, what went right, make the adjustments, but it doesn't get any easier because the next game up in 10 days is the Baltimore Ravens. I like the matchup for us. I think there's a reason we beat them in the playoffs last year. I think it's because we match up with them well. We have to get the defensive stuff figured out, though, because, Lamar Jackson, for whatever he lacks as a passer, he can definitely pick us apart underneath. He can definitely take those little easy, wide open 6-yard passes all day long. He can scramble, break the pocket, and run if he has to. I don't think we're doing the things that we did last year that worked against the Ravens right now, so we have to get back to that, and it shouldn't be that hard. I mean, like, we have essentially the same personnel, if not better than last year, but we don't have a defensive coordinator. So at some point in time, we got rid of Beasley. We got rid of Jonathan Joseph. We've cut the dead weight. So at some point in time, we have to start looking at what the root of the problem is. We've got out the dead weight. The problems are still there. I like that Vrabel will come out and say things like, it's on me. He'll take accountability, but there's a difference between taking accountability. There's a difference between walking the walk and talking the talk. I might have said that backwards for how I wanted to say that, but at some point in time, he's got to acknowledge that there are issues beyond just the fact. He keeps saying things like, we just got to coach better and we just got to execute better. It goes beyond that. There's clearly problems that stem from the fact that there's nobody really leading the defense, at least nobody who's maybe qualified to lead the defense. Like, I think Vrabel thought it was something he could take on, but you've got too many. He's kind of got too many. He's the head coach. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that he needs to be looking at outside of running the defense. What's up, TA? But, I don't know. I don't know if you can put in a defensive coordinator in the middle of the season, but there's definitely something that needs to be changed with that. Somehow, I think the special teams coordinator needs to go because there's just too many problems with special teams for us to just keep cutting players, keep blaming the players for that. But I don't know. I don't want to overreact because, I don't know, I feel like I should overreact because at this point in time, we've lost 3 bad games that we probably should have won if we just executed better, if we just did certain things a little bit differently. That's the good news about it, though. As you can see, this was a game we could have easily won if we'd done things the right way. We'll see. Get like a mini bye week now, get a chance to regroup, get a chance to recover. Come back and try it again against the Baltimore freaking Ravens. But the good news beyond that is we get the Colts again right after that. So we can wash all this away. We can get this bad taste out of our mouth. We can completely retake control of the AFC South. It's still all in our hands. We botched a chance to really take control of it tonight, but we get a chance to do it all over again in 2 weeks, and it'll be fun to go up there and beat them in their house since they came down here and beat us in ours. I'm tired. I got to go to bed. My wife's probably tired of hearing me yap and ramble from the other room in here, so I'm going to regroup on the gambling and try to do better at that, and hopefully the Titans regroup and try to do better on the field.